So my name's Gregor, and I'm from a company called Who Buys Your Stuff. And I'm here to talk about a big problem. And it's a problem that I was part of, and it's a problem that I wonder that I think some of you might be able to relate to, and something you maybe have experienced if you're in a brand side or an agency side. 8 out of 10 businesses fail. And at Who Buys Your Stuff, we believe that if a business doesn't fully grasp the customer they have, this number is remaining high. So I'm going to get really simple and macro for a second, so just hang with me. Customer sitting in a coffee shop on a phone, browsing, pinching, doing these kind of movements. They're browsing a website, and in a few clicks, in a few buttons, they can actually purchase a product. That then gets sent hundreds of miles to a business park where there's someone sat there processing an order. That concept, super normal now, 20 years ago, wild. To think that you could actually use your phone to buy things off with a few touches. 20 years ago, totally crazy concept. Now, much like Carlos sort of alluded to earlier, this detachment from the customer, this is part of what I'm going to kind of really sort of elaborate on in our business. The transaction, if we really zoom in on the transaction, in the last 20 years, the transaction has moved from a physical, you're in front of the customer, you actually see the person, you smile at them, you maybe even have some dodgy tans, but you are in the room with your customer. This transaction has shifted for a lot of businesses, to ones and zeros. Ones and zeros. This could be someone arriving at your store, browsing your product, spending money with you. There are online businesses out there who've never even met a customer. They've never even been in front of a customer, and they maybe have sold millions of pounds of product. I mean, that is on a macro, really simple level, that's a crazy thing. And the implications that this could have is vast. And it's this huge shift that's going on. When this kind of happens, this opens up new opportunities and new threats. And there are some really clever companies out there that are using these ones and zeros to do clever tricks with. We were with a company today, actually, called Big Data for Humans. And they do a lot of predictive analytics with these ones and zeros and all this clever stuff. But the problem remains is who's behind these ones and zeros? Who's the human behind this data? And you can do all this clever stuff, but unless you really know who's behind it and who's buying your stuff, that's a huge challenge, and a huge emerging challenge that lots of online businesses are facing, and this detachment that Carlos mentioned earlier. And let me just go forward a second. Yeah, and so I personally come from the brand side. So for the last 6 years, I've been working in e-commerce for various businesses. And I was incredibly metric focused. So I was traffic, conversion, CPAs, click-through rates, all this kind of engagement metrics. But it took a good while before it dawned on me that actually I was missing a trick. And I actually spent a bit of time going to Pets at Home, which is an incredible business, and hanging out with their marketing team, and they knew their customers so intimately. And I was actually sat in meetings. I was working for a company called Finisterre at the time, cold water surf company, award-winning, great company. But I was sat in meetings, and I was the head of marketing at this time. And they were discussing their customer so intimately. They knew their customer better than the customer knew themselves. And I just remember sitting in these meetings just going, I'm the head of marketing, and I couldn't tell you really, truly, who's driving this business, who is the customer behind all these metrics that we're reporting on all the time. And that was a crazy thing to realize. And I didn't think that many other people in the business could have clearly told you who was driving the business. And when you realize that, you think this is we got to do something about it. So you come back and you reach out to the world of customer research, which when I first looked into customer research, I almost fell asleep. I mean, it's a dry, boring, long, arduous, drawn-out process. Or you assume this. You think it's sort of 200-page documents, and you have to part with 15K, and it just gathers dust on your kind of your shelf at your desk. But yeah, we reached out into the customer research world, and we unearthed some really, really valuable information. And one of the things when we had this learning where we realized we didn't know who was driving the business, and when we reached out to other brands and asked them who is buying your stuff, we got all these aspirational, assumptive answers back to us, and terms like that often come up, ABC1. I don't know if there's many agencies here or brand facing. It's ABC1. I mean, do we know what ABC1 means? It's like it's everyone in this room. ABC1. It means like you're slightly educated, you have a bit of disposable income, and that word gets bandied around all the time. If you try and create a product or market to ABC1, you're trying to cater this wide. That's a really tall order. So when we realized we had this problem, we reached out to customer research, and it was a long, as I was mentioning, drawn-out ordeal to uncover who was buying our stuff. 6 months it took. But what we unearthed was some really valuable information. And to go from thinking your customer is this wide, it's sort of 16 to 60-year-old, it's ABC1, I don't really know, waffle, make some stuff up, to it's Amy, or it's Bob, or whoever. But these online businesses are sitting on this information that can be used to really draw out a quantifiable customer profile. We do that at the moment through segmenting, surveying, social media mining, and a workshop to use the data that these businesses are sitting on to unearth this person, this human that sits behind all those ones and zeros. Your greatest resource. When a business realizes that it's not ABC1, it's not whoever they thought it was, and it's actually Amy, and you know demographics, you know attitudes, you know behaviors, you know it's a real person. When a business sees that person in front of them, can you imagine just how that changes the playing field for them? From a new customer point of view, if you know it's Amy, you can go after Amy's. I often think PR and advertising. Can you imagine the amount of money that's spent that falls on deaf ears? Huge amount of money. If you're an online business, you have the information to discover your Amy. And once you know, instead of having a PR agency that you pay $3,000 a month and they just get you in broadsheets and lifestyle mags, it's like, cool, I hope Amy reads those mags, or she reads broadsheets, or you spend digital advertising on websites that you assume Amy's on. You just go after Amy. You plug her profile in to the internet. You can follow the likes of Amy around and attract people that match Amy's demographics, match her behaviors, match her attitudes, and drive them to your site. So that's just a new customer point of view. For the agencies in a room, if a brand came to you with a super clear customer, that's an unbelievable start point for you to develop 3 routes. You're developing the 3 routes for Amy, for creative briefs, for any start point, for product development. If you know it's Amy and what she loves and what she likes, you build products for her, and it just gives the whole business a focus. She's also, in her own right, an expert consultant. So she perhaps loves the brand more than you do. She perhaps knows your brand better than you do. She's perhaps an innovator. She maybe uses your product for different things that you don't even know about yet. She's loyal. She's probably hardworking. If you engaged her in your business, she is an expert consultant. And this chart down here is from a company called C-Space, and they're a management consultancy who help some of the biggest corporations around the world use their customers to inspire growth. And this chart here, the blue line, just shows the companies that they've worked with and how involving their customers has helped them grow quicker than the S&P index. I just can't stress enough how we overlooked the value in knowing actually who your customer is, who's driving your business. And when we found out that information, it was so valuable. I mean, it was a tough ride at the other business. It was hard going, and we made decisions on assumptions and aspirations, and we were sitting on all this valuable information that once derived, really was game changing. And now we're reaching out to other online SMEs. Who buys your stuff? It's a wide assumptive answer we get back, and we actually in 4 weeks narrow it in and help them understand who they should be doing everything for. And it's a really powerful focus on this person, and I think it really helps give everyone who's working with an organization, whether it's copywriting or it's a branding agency or web development, if you can present your Amy to the business, they know who they're doing it for. So just in summary, the key takeaway. So if you're a brand, if I was to ask you who buys your stuff, could you give me a very good, clear answer? If you're an agency and you have a main client you work with, would they give you a very clear answer? And if their response is no, growth is going to take longer, and you're going to spend more money doing it. So make sure you find out. Thank you.